One of the exercises as a therapist that I give in sessions is to have the client imagine that they are talking to somebody and sharing something important that they wish they could have said. So if there was one person who couldn't interrupt, couldn't contradict, couldn't gaslight, couldn't try to change the subject, right? There was one person who had to listen to you, and you could say anything you want. What would you say? So I'm going to try that. Well, it's been over 2 decades, so I could just be rambling about something unimportant. You probably haven't thought about me in years. And you probably shouldn't. I'm nothing to you. I'm nobody, most likely. I felt that way anyway. I'm not a musician. I'm not a teacher. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I've always just felt kind of worthless around you. That's not your fault. You don't know this, but I am a neurodivergent person. You were dealing with an autistic person with ADHD the whole time. So that's not you. I want to put that caveat in there. What I will say is that I really wanted to be good enough. I wanted to fit. I wanted to be a valid student. And for 2 years, every day that you taught me, whether you know it or not, you showed me the exact opposite. And there comes a time when you have to say, if I'm going to spend this much time, energy, and money trying to be something that I'm clearly not, for a person who doesn't need me, I'm just another student. If I'm going to do all this, how am I supposed to keep going when I get to junior year and things actually become hard? Like, at what point do I just say, I don't really belong here? So I decided I'm just going to do as much as I can to get the highest GPA I can get, so I don't drop out. And whatever it is that I do for the next 2 years of my life, I better be good at it. That's what I was thinking to myself back in 2001. Like, I'd better be. Because for me, there was no, oh, I'll just go back to mom's basement, where I can live until I'm 37. There was no mom's basement. There was no family business that I might be able to get a gig in if I don't make it. No trust fund. It was nothing. It was just an apartment in a rundown part of the city where most young men don't make it to the age of 25. It's either A, I force myself to be at the school where you are, or I don't make it at all. Because where else was I going? No other college I could afford would take me. It was you or nothing. Your school. The other schools wanted me playing Beethoven off the top of my head, or like a billion major scales and whatever. I just wasn't that person. So around May of 2001, like I was saying, I uh, I spent a couple of hours one night just wandering around downtown, not knowing whether or not I would actually go back to my dorm. I didn't tell anybody that I did this. I haven't told anybody. And I wasn't really sure whether or not I was going to do something really bad to myself. I was just hopping around from train to train, transferring around as much as I could with the little money I had in my pocket. And I just thought, you know what, maybe this is me. Maybe I just stay on the trains for the rest of whatever short life I have. Just become homeless and throw it all away. Or I could actually get some sense in my head and like think of something to do so I can go back to the dorms and go to sleep. Like I said, at that point, it was that school. It was go back to you or nothing. And I'll tell you right now, I had to fight really hard not to choose nothing. That was a hard choice. Didn't have the guts, I guess. So I was angry every time I had to go to your class because I couldn't take this thing I was feeling. I couldn't take the fact that something I spent so much time trying to be good at was probably a mistake. And I don't have a plan B. I just wanted to stop being a musician because technically he showed me that I never really was one. But I felt like, if I did leave, I'd let you down. So I thought, okay, either I could disappoint you by staying and being a mediocre student, or I can disappoint you by finally leaving. Why am I telling you all this? Honestly, I just realize after years and years and years that I shouldn't have been so upset with you for not accommodating for me or helping with academic, interventions. I should have been just upset with myself, and you should have just been this weekly reminder of how little I valued myself. And then, if I can't validate my own self, then you have to get away from wherever you are. Otherwise, one way or another, you're going to hurt yourself. I'm sure you have a lot to say. You're probably thinking like, oh man, this little doofus he hasn't changed since he was 19. I guess in some ways I haven't. I'll keep going as long as I can. But I'm just going to push through so I can have a roof over my head. So I'm not really mad at you. I'm just kind of unburdening some piece of me that's still stuck back there. Because It's time to stop being afraid of you and start understanding that I'm not there anymore. I have other things to be worried about. You didn't know I was neurodivergent. You didn't know that I was dragging myself through life. I wish you could have known. Because you don't know what this is like. I'm glad you don't. So yeah. I think mostly I'm angry dealing with that anger because I couldn't direct that anger at the person that I hated the most. And it wasn't you. It wasn't him. That was cheery. Stay tuned for something different, I guess.